right, we are officially live. There will be a slight delay for the stream, but it's only going to be about 15 to 20 seconds.
7, 8, 9.
Otto, does that mean we should be starting?
You are free to start.
It is starting to show up. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can hear myself. It's awful. Ugh.
Yeah, let me turn off the audio on this on mine as well.
Does that mean we should be starting?
Okay. I can hear you on one side, and I will in video. Okay, yeah, you guys can start at any time.
Great. Good evening. I'm Cellach. This is Vukasin. We are here today to talk to you about a not really very medieval subject. We're talking about chickens. They had chickens in period, but that's about all I know about it.
We're here about the basics of keeping chickens in your backyard in a more modern times. There are experts on medieval chickens. We're here to talk about the little more practical aspects of what we've encountered so far keeping chickens and kind of our tips and tricks.
And if anybody has a question throughout, feel free to send the question in, and Mary will read the question to us, and we'll try to get you an answer. We thought we would start with why you might want to keep chickens. So, Vukasin, why would you want to keep chickens?
So, we originally started on chickens when we lived down in the city of Columbus, and I read a book called Animal Vegetable Miracle and thought it would be a super fun idea to keep chickens in our backyard. And my husband is very indulgent of me and agreed to do this project.
That's true. There is a joke that goes, how do you make a little money as a farmer? And the answer is you start with a lot of money as a farmer. So it's been my experience that it's not the least expensive. It's not a cheap way to get eggs necessarily. Between building a coop and then your wife wanting a bigger coop and then your wife wanting a bigger coop and then wanting more chickens, it can become a little costly. But that's okay. The main reason I think to have chickens is for the eggs. We like knowing where our food comes from. We like knowing how our animals are treated. We like that we have a better connection to where we get our food. And they're kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, chicken TV is a thing. They're super fun. They run around and chase each other and play games and do weird chicken things, which is great fun.
We have found, we have done comparisons between our eggs and some store-bought eggs, and they taste better, and the yolks are
they're more orange due to the chickens eating grass and bugs and other stuff out in the yard. So you get a more rich color out of the yolk of the eggs, and the density of the egg itself seems to be greater.
Great. I thought that next we should go over a handful of terms just to make sure that we're setting kind of a baseline. So I'm going to ask the term, and do you want to define them?
Sure.
Okay. So what is a hen?
A hen is a female chicken.
And what's a rooster?
Rooster is a male chicken.
What are chicks?
Chicks are little chickens when they're little and fuzzy.
What is a pullet?
A pullet is a juvenile chicken. They'll have feathers, but they're not quite full grown, not quite to egg layers yet.
And what is a bantam?
A bantam is a mini chicken. So they look just like the big chickens, they're just miniaturized.
Very cool. And we also thought maybe we should talk a little bit about the different types of chickens that you might want to get. So when you're looking to get chickens, some things to keep in mind are the environment in which you're in. There are some chickens that here in Ohio do better in Ohio than they would. They're cold hardy. There are some chickens that would not do well.
So, for example, the first chickens we started out is a breed called Buckeye chickens. was actually developed in Ohio in the 1800s. I don't remember the exact date, unfortunately, but they were developed to live through Ohio weather. So I thought, starting out, having never kept any birds before in my entire life, I would start with the ones that are designed to live here, because I would have the best chance of keeping them alive. Now, from there, we have branched out to more different varieties of chickens. I like having lots of colors in my barnyard. I think it's more fun that way. But there are different chickens that would require like heat in the winter because Ohio winters are too cold for them, or it gets too hot here in the summer. So when you go to look for chickens, that's where some of the background you need to kind of read up on the breed or talk to the person you're getting them from.
You also need to keep in mind what you're trying to raise your chickens for. We raise primarily for eggs. Some people do raise meat birds. And so if you kind of have to know that going in. Meat birds are a lot different than laying hens. We raised meat birds 1 year, and they're designed, they've been bred so that they put on weight quickly, and they develop quickly. They look, they're kind of sad looking, I think.
The problem is with meat birds, because they're designed to put on weight so quickly, is they will continue to put on meat weight as they grow continuously. So if you don't have a good butchering date set up to take them in, they will continue to put on weight and become not able to move around as much. Kind of like when we as people become overweight, we're not able to move around as much and do things we want to do and do our normal behaviors. Chickens can do that too. And because we're raising them, we try to avoid that happening, because we want them to have a really happy, awesome life and do all the fun chicken things, and then have one bad day.
Yep. And the next thing we should talk about a little bit is why you might want to have a rooster.
How?
I think we should talk about all the chicken stuff now, and we'll talk about that.
So when we lived in Columbus, we did not have a rooster. City ordinances in Columbus, Ohio prevent you from having a rooster. Roosters tend to wake the neighbors, which is not a good thing if you're a chicken owner in a suburban environment. When we moved out here to a rural area, we got a couple of roosters based on the size of our flock, because roosters are great at keeping away predators. Our head rooster right now is a giant Dominican rooster who was dropped off in one of the Columbus Metro Parks, who I rescued and brought home with me. And he is a very angry rooster. He chases Cellach, he chases me, but he also will take on full-size giant raccoons. He takes on hawks. He is a very good protector of our flock. So he gets to hang out, even though he's a little bit of work.
And roosters don't just crow at sunrise. They crow whenever. I've walked out to close up the coop, and I don't have a light on me or anything, and they're all in the coop, and I hear him crowing. So any time of day or night, they'll crow. So it's a fallacy that they just crow at sunrise. So next we should talk a little bit about how to get chickens.
So I originally ordered chickens as chicks from Meyer Hatchery, which is in Polk, Ohio. I liked ordering it from them because now I can drive up to the hatchery. It's a couple hours from Columbus, about an hour from where we live now.
It's on the way to North Oak and War Maneuvers.
Yeah. And they also do mail order chicks, where they will mail them out to your address. And from there, I like that they were from Ohio and I didn't have to ship the chickens as far. When you ship chickens, they ship them when a day old, because they don't need to eat or drink for that first day, because they absorb all the stuff from the inside of the egg when they hatch. So they ship them in boxes, and they come live animals via the U.S. Postal Service, which is great fun. You get a box full of chicks in the mail, which is fun to do.
The post office usually will call you.
Yeah.
Or you might want to call them and let them know.
Yeah.
If you order chicks, you can also usually order them, depending on the type, but you might be able to order them sex. So if you are living in the city, or if you just want to have all hens, you can say, I would like to have just hens. Mm-hmm. And then you're more likely to have all hens. I don't think they give a guarantee.
No.
Sexing chickens when they're a day old is really hard.
It is really hard. If you go with an established hatchery, you'll be able to talk to people and deal with some people who have been doing this for a while. And the longer they've been doing it, it's kind of one of those skills that develops well over time. So I've had very good luck with the hatchery that I work with. I know there's some other good ones around that people have also had good luck working with them.
You can also go to your local feed store and get them. We've gotten some from Truck and Supply Company. We've gotten them from Champion Feed. Those are the two big ones around here.
Yeah.
Rural King probably has them.
Yeah. But so those are the ones that we have around us that do chicks. They'll see the signs that say chick days in the spring, which usually means that they have chicks in the store. You can go and pick them out. A lot of those type of stores, feed stores, will also have they might have postings when their chick days are going to be and what kind of chicks are coming in when. So if you're looking for a particular breed, you can check out that and which day you need to come in to buy.
Truck and Supply Company, I know right now still has chicks.
Yep.
I think that with the pandemic, more people have been wanting to have chickens, so they've been selling them more.
Yep.
So now, if you have your chickens, something about if you mentioned straight runs. If you're buying chickens, something to be in mind is sometimes they'll sell them as straight runs, which means they haven't sexed them. That means what you get, what you get. So that's something to be maybe a little careful of, and some of them might point towards going with a hatchery. So now you bought your chicks. They came in this little, you got them in a little box, or they're chirping at you. What else should you get?
So we start out with a brooder.
You want to show the kit? Okay. We actually have a little prop here. Okay.
So we start out with the brooder. I found one of the easiest brooders to get is a large Rubbermaid, whatever hard plastic tote. You can build a brooder out of all sorts of different materials. There are tons of plans online for different styles of brooders. This one is just the easiest to bring home, I found, because it's already a box and exists and is tall enough to keep the chickens in. You're going to need a light for your brooder. You get a bulb in it that's a heat lamp bulb, and that hangs over your little baby chicks, because the little baby chicks don't have feathers yet. So since they don't have a mama chicken to huddle underneath, you need to provide extra heat for them so they can be warm and happy and alive. And then you get food and water and chick sizes. So one of the things we have discovered about different varieties of chicks is that baby chickens are very cute, but they tend to be like puppies and kitties where they just fall over when they go to sleep, and they will do dumb things like fall over in their water dish and potentially drown. So it's good to start out with small things and then have a bigger setup for when you are ready to go out to your chicken coop. So over down here, we have bigger, this is a feeder, and then we have a couple different styles of waterers. We have metal waterers as well as the plastic waterers. The metal waterer can sit on that heat plate out in the coop because Ohio gets cold enough to freeze the water in the winter, and that means chickens can't drink it. So we heat the water in the winter. We generally put the brooder in our garage just so they are where we can keep a little bit closer eye on them, make sure that everybody's doing okay. Plus, baby chickens are fun to watch. The other thing that you'll need, maybe not like the very first night, but as they start to grow, you're going to need something to cover your brooder with. So we use an old door screen. You can build a screen. You can make it just something that you can hopefully see through. So you can check on your chickens to make sure they have food and water and are still, everybody's happy and looking good. But it needs to be able to cover them because chickens like to play the I'm the king of the mountain game and will climb on top of the food and water container and then can potentially jump out. And it is quite a fun experience to chase the baby chicken around your garage trying to catch it. It takes a little while and is comical.
And you'll need to get they'll have starter feed for chickens. It's a medicated feed that's supposed to have everything they need to help them get a good start on life too. Mm-hmm. So that's where you want to start them. You don't keep them on that forever, but when you're first starting out, that's definitely good. Some stuff to keep in mind is that the heat lamp generates heat and can be really warm, and so you want to be careful that it doesn't hit or touch something because it will burn. we've had a couple times where a heat lamp has burnt through something, or has touched something and started melting it, or if it gets too close to a plastic source, we'll start melting it. And you probably also want to get pine bedding, some kind of bedding to put under there to catch chicken waste. And
so we tend to use the big blocks of like bedding, pine bedding you get for like hamsters and guinea pigs at the pet store. I've also seen they have like pellet bedding at different rural country stores like Tractor Supply Company and Champion both carry that when we picked up chicks from there. So it's kind of a personal preference on what kind of stuff you want to deal with and what kind of stuff you have on hand. If you have other pets using the pine bedding, it might be easier just to continue to use that. They do, however, say that you should not use cedar bedding. Cedar bedding, the fumes from it, especially for the little tiny chickens who are really down close to it, can be poisonous to them. So that's a bad idea to use the cedar.
Nice. You also might want to get a metal trash can to store your feed in.
Mm-hmm.
Loose feed is a great way to attract pests. You can get mice or rats even if you have just bags of feed laying around where they can get into it. So it's better to keep your feed in a
container of some sort that they can't get into.
When we have little chickens, all of our chickens, we go out and we check their food once a day, food and water once a day. When they're little, we check them maybe a little bit more often. We want to make sure that the heat lamp hasn't gone out. We want to make sure that they have water, that they haven't. When a chicken is little, it's easy for it to, if the water gets clogged with pet bedding, for a little chicken to dehydrate itself. They're really little, and so if the water is caked up, they might not be able to drink water, and that we've lost a chicken or two from that. So we try to check them a couple times, especially when they're little. Let's see what else. After they have all their feathers, they start out with like little.
They like the fuzzy baby chicks, and then their feathers start to come in. Usually they start to come in on their tails and their wings first. So they have little tiny feathers on their tails and their wings, which is adorable.
They look pretty awkward.
Yeah, they do. They're really cute little guys. And then, so when they get to be fully feathered is when they can be moved out into a coop environment. That way at that point, they won't require a heat lamp anymore. As long as it's not the dead of winter. So usually people get chickens in the spring. That's when you see chick days and big chick sales at hatcheries and stuff like that. So that you can get the chickens, you move them out during the warmer months after they have all their feathers. And then from there, they can get to live in the coop and outside the brooder. And if you are planning on more chickens, or if there's always more chickens. Kelly is laughing because when we go to the feed store during chick days, I'm not allowed to go in because I always want more chickens.
We had a surprise extra order of 13 chickens this year that she had forgotten about.
They're adorable and I love them. So once you move them out to the coop, you can move them up to the bigger size feeder and water or two, and whatever the setup is out there that you are comfortable dealing with. Our coop is designed.
We'll actually walk back there.
Yeah, we'll walk down back there, but we have designed our coop to be accessible to us. There is
We're unmuted. There we are.
Okay.
Do you want to walk over and show them the bantams?
Yeah.
So we're gonna be doing a farm tour as well, and we're gonna show you our coop.
Yep.
And some different chickens and things like that. So far, have there been any questions?
No, not yet.
Okay. So here you want to talk?
So, this is Blackie and Frenchie. I really like chickens, so generally we consider all of our chickens to be livestock animals, and they're not considered pets, with the exception of these two. They live in a little chicken tractor in our front yard that Cellach and I built. So they're just my little buddies. They're my little chicken TV in the front yard. So Blackie and Frenchie are two. Bantam breeds tend to be a little more fancy breeds sometimes because they're easier to keep. when they're small and smaller spaces, when keep track of the fancy chickens. So I have a couple of fancy little chickens.
And then here is a bonus. Here are the cows next door, including some young cows. There's some cows over there too. So we're going to be walking back to the coop.
So while you're walking, was that air quotes forgot about the chickens she had previously ordered, or had she actually forgotten about chickens previously ordered?
She says she didn't forget about them, but she forgot about them. She's saying she did not. They were surprise chickens. So there's our orchard, the start of it. We need to put some mulch down. And behind it's our prairie. And off in the distance, you probably can't see it, there's a rabbit. We get a lot of rabbits around the property, and all around the edge of our property there's blackberries. Here's a wallow that our pig made. Oh, we could have shown the little. So we keep our chickens on the back half of our property, so it's a little bit of ways away from the house.
You can keep them close to the house. When we lived in Columbus, we used to keep them pretty close to the house, like just kind of out the back deck area. Here, we keep them back here. It helps keep the pig and the dog away from the chicken feed.
So over there's some chickens. We're gonna walk around and look at the little chickens first. So they're all running in. There's guineas and ducks are right there. Here's a bunch of chickens and a guinea fowl. So the one on the left that's really big is our rooster. That's actually the angry rooster. Yeah, he's pretty angry. And then here's some more hens. And I think that one with the big white one with the big comb was also a rooster. So I think Vuk might be trying to get a chicken or two. But here are some hens. I have no idea about what kind they are. And then here is our chicken coop. This is our third chicken coop. We have slowly and steadily upgraded our chicken coop. We started with one that was small enough for 4 or 5 chickens when we were in the city. And then we upgraded to an A-frame that was for about 10, and this one can probably hold about 20 or so. And here is one of our new little chicks.
Little chicken afro.
He has a little chicken afro. She
Oh
does.
my god.
It's really
So
cute.
yes, the ones I forgot about, I discovered at the end of I ordered a mixed bag of white egg layers. Normally the chickens we have are brown egg layers. That's one of the ways they separate them when you purchase them. And so I ended up with a whole bunch of really fancy chickens, which is kind of fun. So this one has a little chicken afro.
Let's go over and see if we can't see any of the other ones.
They all ran inside. Or scary.
Will it keep the flap on its head once it's got its feathers?
Yeah, so those are its feathers. They're just poofy and white, as opposed to being the slicked back way. You can order a lot of Polish chickens have these little poofy heads, and you can order a whole bunch of them that way. Some Polish varieties are good for winters in Ohio, and some are not.
So what just ran in were a bunch of guinea fowl. If you saw those, we keep guinea fowl. Guinea fowl make a lot of noise, but are really good at eating ticks.
Yeah, a guinea fowl's favorite food are ticks, so they will literally like hunt them up like they're candy. So we've found that having them on the property vastly reduces the amount of ticks we have to pull off us or anybody else.
So let's go look at our
benefit.
over there's the meat pellets. That's where we keep all of the turkeys and geese. And here are more hens, and then off over there, the goofy looking one that's running is guinea fowl. That's an adult guinea fowl. So in here we have this is the run that we put up for our coop. Since we live in the country, we try to let them out and run around as much as they can, but we wanted to be able to give them a little bit of protection too. So we have a run area that has the door that we close. We were talking earlier about the number one thing that we have for our coop that changed our life is this right here. We have, it's a chicken guard. It's an automatic chicken door closer and opener. So it has a solar sensor on it. And when the sun comes up, it opens up the coop. And when the sun goes down, it closes the door. So having that.
So that has meant, because if Cellach is out of town and I'm the only one home, oftentimes I work until after dark. And this way the door closes when it gets dark out, and I have to worry about predators getting into the coop and going after the chickens.
Do chickens tend to roost automatically if there's a storm coming in, or do they get stuck outside when there's a quick storm?
So if it depends on how fast it comes in. Out here, I've discovered that our flock will take shelter, not necessarily in the coop, but like they can get access to our woods back here, and they all clump up under trees. They take shelter under something as a group if a storm comes in. If you were living in a more suburban environment, when I used to let the chickens in the backyard when we lived in Columbus, if a storm came in, they'd all go running back to the coop to go hide under there because that's their safe place. So the coop is where they feel safe. That's why they go back there at night. So, and we work to, make it safe for them. So they want to go back there.
And that chicken has feathery feet.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple of them.
So that's kind of neat. Let's look inside the coop. So coops get dirty. Let's see. So we have a hen up there on the roost. So chickens roost. I think that's pretty hen back there. And then back in the corner, we have a hen that's gone broody. Which
means that you can see a rooster's crow a lot. So when hens go broody, it's called they sit is when they want to sit on the eggs because they want to hatch them and have a family. Normally chickens will lay an egg and they leave it and go about their business unless they go broody, which means she wants to sit on the eggs to hatch them. So you can take the eggs away from a broody hen and it'll cause that, cycle to stop, or you can let her lay on them and try to hatch them. If you don't have a rooster, there's absolutely no chance of a baby chicken. So that's not really recommended for hatching. Like I would take them away unless you have a rooster. We have hatched a couple of chicks out here from our own flock, just for fun sometimes, to let them sit on it to see what happens.
When you were in Columbus and there was no chance of baby chickens, do you give them something else to sit on? Or is there like psychological trauma if you take away their eggs when they want to sit?
I mean,
chickens are pretty dumb.
Eventually,
okay.
She just, after taking them away so many days in a row, she'll become not broody. Depending on the breed of chicken, some chickens are better mamas than other chickens, and they'll sit on the eggs longer or try to hatch eggs more when they grow broody. And some of them some breeds of chickens hardly ever grow broody. So it's an anomaly when they do. It just sort of depends on the chicken.
so some features that we have in our coop, we have an area for them to roost. Chickens like to be up high. We put a panel up, a board up so they could climb up there. We have a big 5-gallon waterer. These are this is what we have set up for their nesting boxes. This is where we want them to lay eggs. So we just got a bunch of buckets and we built a little frame and put them in there, put some straw. They usually lay their eggs in there. I think that right here, this is our broody hen. Yep. And she was sitting on 2 eggs. So that hen was broody. Something else that we keep in here. Oh, she's mad at me. We'll probably collect the eggs again in the morning. So the other thing that we have is a timer. During the winter, chickens lay eggs based on how much light they get.
Yeah. So if you're a chicken, like if a chicken lays the egg like first thing in the morning, it'll lay an egg, and then on average, most chickens for like 6 days, they'll lay an egg, and it gets a little bit later every day, and then they take a day off. So if you, but how that cycle works is totally based on the amount of light that they get. So if you want eggs year round, you need to kind of trick the chicken into thinking that the days are longer here in Ohio, because Ohio winters, the days are too short to keep that cycle going as much. So we trick our chickens with light we have a timer that adds extra light inside the coop, so they think it's daylight earlier, so they continue to lay eggs for us.
I was trying to see if
How many chickens do you estimate are in your flock, and how many eggs do you get on average per day?
So our adult flock right now is probably about 8 hens, and we get 3 to 4 eggs a day. There are more than 8 chickens out here. We have a bunch that we raised this spring that are not quite old enough to lay eggs yet. It takes, they have to mature in order to start laying eggs. So that takes a little while. So a bunch of the chickens out running around today are not old enough yet to lay eggs.
Usually about how many months old do they have to be to lay eggs?
So we looked that up today. It says it takes about 18 weeks, so about 4.5 months. And we got a little chicken peeking its head out. Those are guinea fowl that are running back in. And I don't know if you can hear the ducks quacking. Okay, do we have anything else back here to show? Oh, something we should talk about our pests. We live in the country, as you can see, like right here is the woods. So we set live traps on occasion to try to catch raccoons or possums or ferrets, mink, skunks. I think the skunk was an accident. I don't think the skunk wants to mess with our chickens. Yeah. So you have to have a strategy for handling that too. If you're in the city, you might also have them. When we lived in the city, we lost some to a raccoon. So it's not just a country thing. Although being in the country is a lot more dangerous.
Yeah. So there are different options depending on what kind of pests you have and how you want to catch and dispose of them. I would suggest that based on where you live, go to your state natural resources website, and they generally have information on that.
Do we have anything else we wanted to cover? I think that's the basis of everything that we have to cover. Is there anything? Does anybody have any questions?
I've been sprinkling some of those in. You did mention that the chickens would like hide under trees. Does that mean you let them out of their enclosures sometimes?
Yeah, so they're right out. Today they're out.
Yeah, so we have our run area attached to the coop, and then let them kind of free range when we're going to be home, which is right now is an awful lot. That way they get a little bit more run around time, get more grass and bugs, and do chicken stuff.
Oh, something we should. When we get chickens, some of the stuff we try to do when we add new chickens to our flock, we put the chickens in at night. So we'll go out to the coop and put the chickens in when everybody's dark. So when they wake up, the idea is kind of like, oh, you've always been here. Chickens are really dumb. We also, when we get new chickens, they have to kind of, you've heard about the term like a pecking order. Chickens have a pecking order. This hen is trying to eat leaves. It's really cute. They have to establish a hierarchy. And so the newer ones tend to get pushed around a little bit. So what we found is when we get new chickens, we go out until they all go in. We have like our automatic closer, but we'll go out and check the chickens every night to make sure that they all got into the coop. And I might have to go in and take some of the chickens and put them into the coop every night for a week or a week and a half. To get them used to it, to get them trained up so that they go in, and then after that they go in automatically. They've been really good about doing that. Chickens naturally kind of want to be together. So like we have a big clump right here, and then we have that really big rooster that hangs out with them. And roosters, if they're a good rooster, they're constantly kind of keeping an eye out and trying to see if there's any predators or anything around. I've also seen sometimes if they find something that looks extra tasty, they'll give a sound and call all the hens over to them. So they really are trying to take care of them. And used to have more adult guineas out, but they slowly got.
So the guineas are why they're really awesome for pest control, and guinea eggs are like half-size chicken eggs, which is kind of fun to get. So if you ever have a half an egg in a recipe, it's a half an egg. But the guineas during the summer, when it gets really warm out, don't like to be inside the coop. They want to be on something taller. So they tend to roost on top of the coop or on top of the barn.
Or in trees.
Which results like we can't get to them to put them in the coop, and which has resulted in some of them getting picked off by some of our predators out here overnight. So why they're super awesome, we do have to kind of replace them periodically.
And this guinea's been alive for 2 or 3 years now. Yeah. He doesn't care. Like our rooster looks bigger than all of the other chickens, and I've seen him like chase him down and like get out of here. He's pretty awesome. Yeah. So he's pretty fierce. Chickens like to do dust baths.
Yep.
So they'll find a spot where there's dirt and they'll kind of ruffle it up and get their feathers.
That helps them clean off pests or bugs or whatever that get up under their feathers. That dust bath is part of their kind of clean out process. So having an area where they can do that is good for them. Other things we put out for them, we feed them scraps, like all my vegetable scraps go out to the chickens for them to eat as treats. And we do sometimes we give them bird seed as treats. They like that a lot. We also crush up their own eggshells and give them back to that because they need the calcium. So you can feed them back the own eggshells or oyster shells or things like that. I've also found that chickens they like to eat little bits of rocks to help them digest food in their gizzard and stuff like that. So they'll get like if we put out gravel or anything like that, they get into that sort of stuff.
Do you actually provide feed, or do they actually get most of their sustenance besides the treats from bugs and leaves and stuff?
So we provide feed. We do it's called a layer pellet feed, and we mix it with cracked corn. The cracked corn is to give them extra energy, especially through winter. That way they put on a little bit of extra weight because Ohio winter. And then we them the layer pellet feed, and I like to feed them, make sure they have feed available, because the feed is a balanced amount of all the vitamins and minerals and stuff that chickens need to be really healthy. And that way, because chickens are kind of like toddlers, they will literally pick out the stuff they want to eat that looks the tastiest. Like, we're going to eat the candy first and not eat our vegetables. And the feed is kind of like the vegetables. If they have that available and they're hungry, they'll go after that. And then if we let them out a little bit later in the day, then they can go eat all the grass and bugs and treat stuff they like. But at least they, ate their vegetable serving for the day.
Gotcha. You had around 4 laying buckets in the hen house. Is there an optimal ratio of designated laying areas to flock size?
So there are all sorts of books that say stuff about this.
You want to tell people what just happened over there? Okay.
In my experience, the hens all like to lay in like the same 2 nests. Like, all of our eggs will be in like the same 2 nests. They like to be in on top of each other. I mean, I have friends who have hens that, like, if there's an egg in that nest, the chickens will not go into it. But the majority of people I know, like, the chickens kind of like to share. For whatever reason, they do that. So yeah.
And today they laid eggs, not in any of the buckets. They just went and found a spot in the corner and laid eggs.
Yeah. So
they do that too.
Yeah, we put bedding in the bottom of the coop because it makes it easier to clean. We'll clean out the bedding a couple times a year. We do it's called a deep bedding. So we put a couple bales of straw in there, and then when it gets packed all the way down, then we clean it out and replace it. If you live in a suburban environment, you probably will want to clean it out more often, because a stinky chicken coop makes complaining neighbors, and that is usually the problem you'll have if you have chickens, is neighbors. And so we do that, but because of the straw, the chicken is also like to just make chicken nests in the straw. So sometimes they have nests in the corners of the coop too, which is fine.
I should say something that we've been really happy with. We've had the best luck is by having our chicken coop. If you look, it's off the ground a little bit. Mm-hmm. That way something can't really dig in underneath, or we have a floor on it, so something can't just dig under it and come in. So that's something that we've tried to. This has been the best coop that we've had.
You had said the best way to make a little money off of chickens is to have a lot of money to start with.
Right.
That said, how much per day per chicken would you think you spend, or whatever units are?
Sure. So we have a lot of birds right now. We have. I'm gonna try to do some quick math in my head. We probably have 30 chickens, like including the little hens.
Yeah.
30 chickens. We have 5 ducks. We have 5 geese.
8. No,
like 5. Back to what you spent when you were in Columbus.
So we're like, is that 60?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's 60. We'll say like 50 birds, and I buy 3 bags of feed and a bag of cracked corn a week. So that works out to being about $50. So that's about $1 a bird a week. Mm-hmm. Like that's quick math. And when they're younger, they don't eat as much, and when they're putting on weight, we have some meat birds that eat a lot more. So that's our rough estimate. So $1 a day per bird is my rough guess.
I don't know. So one of the things when we got into keeping chickens, it was because we wanted to be closer to our food source and know where like our food was coming from, and because chickens are fun and it's a good, like, as a starter livestock animal, chickens are pretty great. They don't require a lot of vet care. They're not a super expensive animal to start with. Like, you can get chicks for like less than $2 a piece depending on the breed. So it's not a like why the structures and stuff are investment starting out. Like, for livestock, it's definitely the low end on expense.
And I think you can get an inexpensive, like a small coop for, I think if you get a kit, like 200, 250.
Yeah, they have kits and stuff through like all the different like Tractor Supply, Rural King, Champion Feed, they all sell like chicken coop kits or like the pre-assembled ones. Like you see, we've also seen people take sheds and stuff from like Home Depot and make that into a coop. So there's all different ways to be creative about it and more cost efficient. We've set up a little bit bigger and nicer of a coop out here because we have the space for it. But
We also want more birds.
we also wanted more birds. So I don't know, we didn't start into it to kind of sell things. When we have extra eggs, we tend to give them away to friends and family. I was angry. So I don't know. It kind of like if you wanted to raise backyard chickens for eggs for like egg money or something like that, there are breeds that you can buy that have a much higher egg laying rate. As you can see with the picture of the chickens, we have a lot of variety and color and feather style, and that's because that's what I like. I have one of my coworkers has all the ones that are white out here with a little bit of tan on them. That's his entire flock, and they have a very much higher egg laying ratio. Like they lay a lot more eggs per lifetime than some of the other breeds. And his two young girls, that's like their summer spending money is from egg sales. So they have to keep track of all of that, and that they do pretty decent on it. And that's the varieties of chickens he got them. So depending on what your approach goal is, you can kind of gear it towards that based on the birds and the setup you want.
Okay, time commitment wise, what is the schedule that you have to do each day, and how much time do you spend on them?
So it's really I make 2 trips a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. The evening one is really our where we have the ducks and the guineas. I have to close them up. I don't have an automatic door opener over there, and I like to just check and make sure that they're all in. So that's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's not very long at all. It's really the walk back here is the longest part. And then in the mornings, I have to feed and water all the animals. So we have enough that I have to haul water a little bit. So if we had a closer source of water, that'd make it quicker. But it's really giving some feed, giving them some water, checking for eggs.
So when we lived in Columbus, to feed and water, I think we started out with like 5 chickens. To feed and water all of them, it maybe took like 20 minutes in the morning.
Not even that.
Not even that. It didn't take very long. Check on, make sure everybody had food and water, check for eggs, look at all the chickens for a minute or two just to make sure like no one's limping, everybody looks healthy type of deal. And then that's it. So I have friends who like chickens, like to hang out with them, and they'll go hang out with their chickens, and that works out great. We tend to treat our chickens a little more like livestock than pets, so they tend to be cool with not needing people attention.
And if they do need medical attention, like friends who have chickens, they had something wrong with their feet, and apparently that happens. Do you take care of it? Do you take them to the vet? What do you do?
We're now country folk, and we don't take them to a vet.
Yeah, so it depends on how attached you are to your chicken. There are plenty of farm animal vet centers. The biggest one around here is at OSU Vet Hospital, and they take birds. A lot of like country style vets will also see chickens, or anyone who sees other types of birds like pet parrots and stuff can handle a chicken. If you're super attached to your chicken, can take it to a vet. It will have a corresponding vet bill that can get expensive because it is a specialized animal to take in. If I've had really sick chickens in the past, I have done my best to kind of normally what I have is like a trauma injury has been my most common, where they got attacked by something and they have like an injury, and I try to, just like you do a person, clean it. They get moved into the garage, into a brooder separate from everybody else, because if they're injured, they get picked on and taken care of, and I do the best I can. I've had some heal up and be fine and be able to put back with the rest of the girls. And I've had some not make it or had gotten really, really sick, and then we've had to put them down. So there are kind of two avenues. You can just kind of do the home care yourself, or you can take it to the vet. It sort of depends on how attached you are to your particular animal.
How common is what's a normal loss rate?
So when we were in the city, we lost our first batch because we didn't have it properly secured. So there's some learning lessons that you have to have where we left at night, we left a window open and a raccoon got in and took them out.
Yeah.
But once we got that kind of figured out and dialed in and we were able to secure the chickens, we had some that lived a bunch of years.
Yeah.
Out here in the country, we have it seems like we lose a couple every month to, like, especially during the winter, to hawks.
Every month. We lose several every, like a small chunk of chickens every fall, to when when food kind of dries up out here for the things that live out here, our wildlife, then they try to come into, easy food, which is chicken dinner. So we work a little harder on live trapping and making sure that all of the, if we have any weird holes or anything develops throughout the summer, that everything gets buttoned up by then to keep everybody safe.
Right. So it's something like I don't know that I have a good ratio. We buy chickens every year.
Yeah. And part of that is because I like, adding more varieties to the flock, because that's fun too. Because I like having all the different colors in the barnyard, and different types of chickens lay different colors of eggs, which is super fun.
And we definitely have more chickens than we actually need for, like, if they're all laying, then we would need for us to have eggs.
Yeah.
And that's definitely on purpose. Like, if we wanted to have enough eggs for just us, we could probably get by on 4 or 5 chickens, maybe 6. But we clearly have more than that. So we get lots of eggs when they're all laying, and then we can give them out to people.
Questions coming in, and let me type in and see if anybody else has any questions, since it'll take longer for it to come across in video.
I'm gonna go see if I can see the ducks.
Okay.
Our ducks are really shy. I'm trying to see if you guys can see the ducks. I really like ducks, so we have a handful of ducks. Someday we're going to have a pond, hopefully.
John asks if your ducks are all in a row.
Sometimes they walk in a row.
Mostly that or rave.
Mostly what?
That or rave.
Mm. Do you want to see if the peacock is there?
Oh, what else involved in cleaning out the coop? Is it just shoveling like you would in a stable stall, or?
Yep, we use a pitchfork and a wheelbarrow.
Clean out entirely and then respread, or pick or cherry pick? Is it a complete replacement every week? Is it that you do it?
No, we clean our coop a couple times a year. So every 2 or 3.
So not that often.
I think she's trying to capture the peacock. I don't know what she's doing.
Oh, Kyle says, do any of your other animals eat the eggs? I heard on farmers you can feed pigs duck eggs if you have an excess.
We have in the past, we've done an egg on our dog's food on occasion if we're feeling pretty good. But usually, I mean, we don't usually have so many eggs that we're giving them to the other animals.
do you compost the coop waste?
No luck. Okay, we couldn't get the peacock.
Yeah.
Not especially. Like we take it. I suppose we have. I know people who do and have tried. We usually just we have a big field, and I spread it out and let it mellow over time. Yeah.
You can take the bedding from the coop and let it sit in like a compost for about a year because chicken poop has really high nitrogen content, and after that time, or some people let it sit spread thinly on their garden over a long winter and then grind it up in it. But that bedding is really good for like composting or garden beds or stuff like that.
We're gonna walk up and show a little coop that came with the property. We haven't actually used it for keeping chickens yet. But maybe someday. And there's Bob. There's our pig.
Bob.
Hey, Bob. So we talk about how of all the pigs in all of the world and all of time, that Bob here is in the top 1% of all pigs. He gets to sleep and inside in a bed. I think he's going down for belly rubs. Yeah, there he is.
Play with the dog.
Yeah. Oh, the dog. Yeah, it tries to annoy him very much. So there's the pig. And then when we bought the property, it came with a little coop. So a coop doesn't have to be gigantic like what we have. This is just a little one. It needs a little bit of work, but here would be where the door for them to come in and out. Then there's a window for some ventilation. There's a nest spot. You can probably keep 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then this one here, it's designed so it can be lifted. The roof can be lifted up so you can clean it out.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty neat. Just it's smaller than what we need. All right. So any other questions?
I am not seeing any popping up, so.
Okay. Well, I'm Cellach and this is Vukasin.
Thanks for coming visiting our house with us and learning about our chickens.
Thank you so much for giving us that talk. That was great.
This was fun.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out.
Yes.
Cool. Have a good night.
You too.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.